All right, welcome back. It's going to be key topic 23, Survival Craft VHF. Of course, that stands for very high frequency. SCTs is their abbreviation for Survival Craft Transceivers. They're lightweight, portable, two-way, handheld VHF transceivers capable of radio telephone on-scene communications between rescue units and the survival craft. Essentially, these are handheld VHF radios that are used in any survival craft, such as a lifeboat or life raft. SCTs with rechargeable type batteries may be used for onboard communications as well. The International Maritime Organization requires the following from SCTs. And I've got 8 requirements. The first one is must be able to be operated by unskilled personnel, must be able to transmit and receive on 156.8 megahertz, channel 16, and on 156.3 megahertz, channel 6. So think 16, and then 6 is basically 16 without the extra teen. It must withstand a drop of 1 meter on a hard surface. That would be nice if our cell phones could do that. Watertight to a depth of 1 meter for 5 minutes. No, it's quite a while to be that deep underwater. The power minimum is 0.25 watts, which the question that actually deals with the power minimum doesn't necessarily have that as the answer. So it's going to take a little bit of mental gymnastics to get to the right answer, but I saved that to the last question. A power reduction switch to less than 1 watt must be available where the power exceeds 1 watt. The antenna must be permanently affixed, vertically polarized, and omnidirectional. Holy cow. Battery power capability for 8 hours on a 1 to 9 duty cycle. And one of the questions, equipment for radio telephone use in survival craft stations under GMDSS must have what characteristics? All right, so they're giving us some of the characteristics. A, operation under channel 16. I did see that on the list. Watertight, permanently affixed antenna, or all of these. All right, since we at least see 2 of them on the list, all of these is good. I think maybe permanently affixed antenna was on there. Antenna must be permanently affixed, vertically polarized, and omnidirectional. So all 3. Yes, all of these. Equipment for radio telephone use in survival craft stations under GMDSS must have what capability? Nearly verbatim the same question. Under survival craft must have what characteristics? All right, the last word is different. Must have what characteristics? This one says it must have what capability? Let me relaunch the poll. Is it operation under channel 16? B, operation at 457.525 megahertz, which is up in the UHF band. So that's more satellite communications. C, operation on 121.5 megahertz. And that's going to be the transponders. Or D, any one of these. Okay, let me think about that. D would be any one of these where you had the option of any of the 3. And no, that it did not give us an option. It gave us a list. I think there was 9 on the list, and one of them was operation on channel 16. The International Distress and Calling Frequency. What statement is not true regarding the requirements of Survival Craft portable two-way VHF radio telephone equipment? All right, which is not true? A, watertight to a depth of 1 meter for 5 minutes. B, effective radiated power should be a minimum of 0.25 watts. C, operate simplex on channel 70 and at least one other channel. Or D, the antenna is fixed and non-removable. Now, we did see most of those on our list. We did not see anything about simplex or duplex. I would presume simplex is what these handhelds would operate on, but channel 70 is the digital channel, so that was not on our list. So it's going to appear to be that C is the one that is not true. And that, yes, it is not true. It's not a voice emergency channel on a handheld survival radio. I noticed they're kind of fudging with our minimum power requirement of 0.25. They're showing out this effective radiated power. So they're already hinting that the minimum power is 0.25 watts, but that's for ERP, effective radiated power of the antenna, not necessarily the power that you're pumping into the antenna, but what power it is radiating. Regularly inspect your portable radio gear. If you spot moisture in the display window, replace the unit with a substitute and log your actions. It's GMDSS, includes Survival Craft two-way VHF equipment. Such equipment must be watertight to a depth of 1 meter for 5 minutes. Got it. It must have an effective radiated power of at least 0.25 watts, which in parentheses there is a transmitter power of 1 watt is going to be the minimum. And the antenna must be fixed and non-removable. It provides simplex voice communications on channel 16. It is for communication between survival craft and the ship, and between survival craft and the rescue unit. In the small picture, we do show that it's on channel 6, which is we haven't dealt with that much, but I'm not going to talk about it much other than saying that it is 16 without the 1. Question is, which statement is not true regarding the requirements of Survival Craft portable two-way VHF radio telephone equipment? Very similar to the last question. Another not true. This one does have different options, so let me launch the poll. Which I don't know if I shared the last one. There it is. And here's the relaunch. So we're also looking for not true statements. Operation on channel 13. I'm not sure if we have to go much further. B, effective radiated power should be a minimum of 0.25 watts. That was a true statement. C, simplex voice communications only. D, operation on channel 16. Yes, channel 16, and I think the other one was 6, not 13. I think that's what they're trying to do, throw you off, saying, I know it was 16, but there was one other one. Maybe that's why I reminded you a few times that it also ends in a 6. Yeah. Yeah, channel 13 is the bridge-to-bridge channel. So, no, that is not what's going to be required in your survival craft. With what other stations may portable survival craft transceivers communicate? So what other stations can the portable transceivers communicate? A, communication is permitted between survival craft. B, communication is permitted between survival craft and the ship. C, communication is permitted between survival craft and the rescue unit. Or D, all of the above. Yeah, they're not going to restrict who you can talk to, especially if you're floating around in the ocean in a survival craft. They're not going to say, oh, you cannot talk to a ship. Well, that wouldn't make much sense. You cannot talk to one of the other survival craft. Yeah, they're not going to have any of those type of restrictions. So all of the above. All right, we're flying through this one. End this poll. Share. Stop share. We've all got it right. And the last question that I was hinting around at. What is the minimum power of the SCT? Now, if this just pops up, you might not actually realize, unless you know that you're on question 23, that they're even talking about the survival craft VHF or the transceiver. So it's a tricky question. And just by me saying it, you can kind of already tell, because we saw the requirements. The effective radiated power shall be not less than 0.25 watt, which is a quarter of a watt. So it would almost be natural to pick C, which apparently, and I've checked this a couple different sources, and all three publishers do, and the FAA website itself does show that 1/4 watt is not the right answer. So, you know, I suppose if it were me, I'd give partial credit for it, but apparently the right answer is 1 watt. And I think this explanation here is the only one that could come up with that tries to, you know, word it so that this makes sense. 1 watt output is reduced to approximately 1/4 watt effective radiated power because the antenna system comprises ERP to the negative, that's effective radiated power, because it is relatively shorter than a natural 1/4 wavelength. So apparently, because the antenna itself is so short on these handheld units, that you have to generate 1 watt just to get 1/4 watt to leave the antenna. I don't think it's a very fair question. If I had something to say about it, I would change the question to another one that makes a little more sense. Maybe right offhand, I don't know. Maybe something about the waterproof section of it, or the drop proof. But to ask a question about the minimum power and then to say that your 1/4 watt answer is incorrect, I think that's a little disingenuous. So I'm going to share the results. I can see we all went for the C answer. which apparently this is one that we're just going to have to look at a little longer and kind of remember if this pops up. The answer they're looking for apparently is 1 watt. All right, that concludes this presentation. Thanks again.